Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Burkeen.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Burkeen. Today's show is always a bonus show for Tuesday because we go over our All-Louisiana teams. It's so much information. Not everybody's going to want to listen to this, but the parents will because their kids are going to be talked about by me. A lot of kids that a lot of people don't know about, but this just proves that you got to really do your homework, watch a lot of film, watch a lot of games like I do in the state, take pride in that, and then you come out with a lot of the great players that people don't mention. That old saying, you'll find out about players after signing day. Well, we're going to tell you about them before signing day. And that's what we're going to do. So there won't be any people, any names that you hear late. You're going to hear them all from us if you hear all these shows. So we did the second team, All-Louisiana Team South offense the other day. Today is the second team, All-Louisiana South defense. And there's a lot of talent in this state. North Louisiana, we did the second team, North Louisiana, a week ago. Our first team, if you're a new listener, our first team offense was in the magazine, and our first team defense for both South and North. So you would have to get the magazine to get that information. You can go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com. You can get a digital copy or a hardback copy. It came out in September for the season. It's still really good. You can use it for the Southland Conference, the SWAC, and also all the recruiting information's in there for North and South. We still got to do our third team for South offense and defense, but we're going to do one every couple of weeks because there's so much information. Like today's show is going to take about 2 hours, maybe over 2 hours to do. Might even be 2.5 hours. But I think people will appreciate this. Like I said, definitely the parents and the coaches of these schools, fans alike and family members. I'm sure grandparents will love that we're doing it too. And these are just not players that we're making up. It's not every player that plays. Not all these kids are recruits. Some of them I'm mentioning because they're just great high school football players. Some are great recruits. In the second team defense today for South Louisiana, which consists of Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa Parish, Houma Lafourche Parish. Everything from Lake Charles down to Baton Rouge through the Bayou and St. Tammany, Tangipahoa Parish, all the metro areas of these cities. It's a lot of talent. This is one of the bigger teams that we're going to do. There's so much talent in this state, and this is why LSU needs to get back to going back to their home base. I've been saying it over and over and over for months. And people, I think, are starting to see what I'm talking about lately with LSU. A lot of when you sign kids from Louisiana, they're going to be more loyal to the state colleges, especially when there's tough times. I mean, because you're here with your family. You're close to mom and dad. I mean, the talent in Louisiana is as good as anywhere in the country. We're going to go ahead and start with the second team defense, South Louisiana. We're going to start with defensive ends. Defensive ends. There's three different positions that we're going to talk about today for D-line. There's D-ends, D-tackles, and nose guards. And that's how they recruit for the next level. That's how I help scout and help college coaches. Our first defensive end. This is not any order. Everybody's equal on the second team. There's no ranking, just so if you're a dad or a mom listening. But everybody I'm going to mention is equal on the second team at defensive end. The first kid that we're going to start with is from Destrehan High School. His name is Braylon Charles. This is a kid that transferred from Sophie B. Wright. I saw Braylon play last year. He's 6'5", 250 pounds of muscle. He's got long arms. He's got an NFL body. He looks like he's in the NFL right now. Now, he's raw in some ways, but he's gifted too. He's got a chance to be as good as he wants to be. Braylon is a hidden gem, was a hidden gem. At Destrehan, he's been on TV a couple of games this year. He's gotten an offer from Purdue University, which is that's pretty good. He's also been offered by Lamar and Arkansas Monticello. He's legitimate D1, people. He is a D1 player. I think he's an SEC DN. He squats almost 500 pounds. His favorite player is the running back for the New Orleans Saints, Kamara. When not playing football, he said his favorite hobby is basketball. Another defensive end, continuing on with defensive end, is a kid by the name of Bryce Cage at Scotlandville High School. He's going to be a first-team guy. Like I said, if we do a final first team, he's one of the best in the country. The reason I didn't have Bryce Cage on the first team in preseason is because he always had the frame. He's 6'4", 250. And he always showed a little ability, but this year he blossomed. He runs about a 4.7 in the 40 and looks faster on the field. His effort's off the charts this year. He has blossomed. There's no weakness. He checks all the boxes. He has offers from Kansas, McNeese State, New Mexico, Southern, ULM, Lamar, and Northern Colorado. He's committed to Southeastern. And he's going to be hard to hold on to for Southeastern because when all these D1s look at his film, they're going to go, oh, my gosh, he is so talented. He comes off the edge as good as anybody I've seen in the state this year as a pass rusher. I think he's LSU good. I'm not just saying that because we're talking about a bunch of players today. He is LSU good. A lot of people get caught up in these rankings. I'm actually in the business since 91. I can tell you exactly who looks the part. I've been doing it for a long time. Bryce Cage could be an All-American in Division I football. That's how good he is. Another defensive end from Chalmette High School in New Orleans, under-the-radar kid that's come on his senior year is Brian Thompson. He's 6'3", 245, runs about a 5 flat, 4.9, very strong. He's really come on his senior year. His junior year he was really good, but he's really starting to put more weight on. He's stronger. I really like this kid a lot. I think he's a D1 player. He would be someone that would be a great signee to maybe ULM of Monroe, ULL, Southern Miss, in that range. Another defensive end that's brand new to football this year and had a great senior season is from Live Oak High School, a kid by the name of Luke Cowart. Luke is legitimate. He's 6'4", 260 pounds. And he was quoted as saying, because he came out for football from the baseball team his senior year, brand new at Live Oak. He said, apart from the coaches, I didn't want to regret not giving football a try, and I'm so glad I did. Luke, I'm glad you did too. He says, I quote from Luke, I feel like my motivation and size are the biggest strengths to my game. Being this is my first season to play football, I need to improve on staying lower and anticipating. Quote, and he also says, if I'm lucky enough to receive a scholarship, I will definitely consider playing on the college level. His message to college coaches, looking for a player like me, first year to play, and I'm coachable. I give 110%. I've soaked up every minute of the season so far. This kid's got a lot of ability. I'm not saying he's Joey Bosa in talent, but he's got that kind of build, He's got that kind of look. He's raw. He's just learning football, but he can really run. I think he's about a 4.9 in the 40, maybe 4.8. And here's a kid that doesn't even know football yet. There's no fat on him. He's long. He could easily be 280 pounds playing DN in college. You don't see a lot of these kids coming out of Louisiana like that. That could be a DN. His teammate is the next DN we're going to talk about, Kiddo, who goes about 6'3", about 240, looks about 6'4". And Kyle is a great talent. I like his motor. He comes off the edge. He runs about a 4.9. He looks faster. And he's quoted as saying, I'm looking for a college where I can find out what I can do with my future. My biggest strength is my quickness, but I need to improve on getting lower. Kyle, you're on your way. Keep working hard, kid. You got a great future, and don't give up. You got a chance to be a D1 guy. If he slips to 1AA, I think he could be a star player. He could be up to about 260 and play DN. Two great DNs from one school, Kiddo and Cowart. Another DN from Glen Oaks High School. Now, I'm putting him at DN. He's a quarterback for Glen Oaks. But he's really a defensive end, I think, for college. It's Tyrich Cox. He's 6'4", 230. Runs about a 4.6 in the 40. Great specimen. was a transfer from McKinley High School. There's no fat on this kid. This kid is pure athletic ability. Raw, but very tough, strong, and could be a tight end too. Another kid who's really come on this year, sleeper, late bloomer from Edna Carr High School, is Odrick Jr. from Edna Carr, 6'3", about 230. Runs about a 4.69, super strong, incredibly high effort of football, gifted pass rusher, plays the run, specimen. I really like this kid a lot. He's committed to Ball State, and I see why. Ball State's a D1 school under the radar. He's under the radar. Another DN from Scotlandville, Braylon Hobson, who transferred from Catholic of Baton Rouge after his junior year. He is one of the best DNs in the state, along with Bryce Cage, the best duo, I think, in the state that I've seen in the whole state. These two guys are phenomenal. They lost to John Curtis this past Friday. The reason they made it to that stage is because of these two kids, two of the reasons. At Catholic High, he was one of their best players in 2019. I saw him play at Catholic. He's got 4.7 speed coming off the edge at 6'3", 240. He had 8 sacks, 36 tackles, and 2 fumble recoveries at Catholic High. This year he's got a little bit over that. He's got about 10 sacks. He's been offered by McNeese, Nicholls State, ULM, UL, Southeastern, and Louisiana Tech. I think he's D1. He's quoted as saying, "I don't have a particular preference, but my skill set leans more towards the Big 12 conference teams that will allow me to better perfect my craft." Quote, he says, "I will be able to go somewhere I can grow academically and athletically." He was committed to ULM, but now he's wide open again. I think he's going to go to a big-time college. He's very strong, squats 350 pounds, power cleans 265. When he's not playing football, he enjoys playing video games during his off time. Another defensive end that I like a lot, who had a great senior season from Helen Cox High School on the West Bank in the New Orleans area, Glenn Davison. Glenn's about 6'2", about 240, 245. He was a rare 4-year starter for his team. This kid just goes all out, man. He's got a big motor. He runs about a 4.9. I saw Glenn as a freshman, and once again in 2019, and then this year. He has got a lot of ability. Might grow into a D tackle. Might be one of those 280-pound guys that runs a 5 flat in college. Another defensive end that I really love is a pass rusher. Could be a buck linebacker. That's D1, Myron Burks from Riverdale in the New Orleans area. Myron's all of 6'3", about 225, and possesses a ton of ability. Myron looks like he runs a 4.5 in the 40. He's more like a 4.65, but he's so fast off the edge. He gets pressure, seems like every play. He has the frame and the speed to be special in college. Another defensive end that plays D tackle for Central High School is a kid by the name of Tyler Scott. About 6'1", about 250. He's a rare 4-year starter for Central High School. I've seen this kid for 4 years. He's quick, super great feet, and he plays hard. He gives you high effort every week. He's a diamond in the rough. I think he'd make a great D1 DN. Another defensive end who was a quarterback to start off at Independence High School, who I love a lot, under the radar, is Daronte Ginn, Ginn, from Independence, 6'6", 235 pounds. He would make a great defensive end or even a tight end. He has freakish skills. He played quarterback as a freshman for Independence. He can run a raw 4.6 40. He's a diamond in the rough in Louisiana. He can bench press about 220, needs to get a little stronger. He squats about 350. He's one of the best recruits to come out of the school since LeBrandon Tollfield, the running back that went to LSU, and Antron Sieber, who also signed a pro baseball contract, if you remember, signed with LSU back in the day. He was an athlete, one of the best in the state at the time. Another defensive end, right here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Braylon Thimes, who's 6'3", about 240, probably more like 6'2 and a half. Has a ton of ability, great off the edge, super strong, runs about a 4.8 but looks faster. Another kid that's under the radar from Slidell High School is John Billich. John is about 6'3", about 220, has a lot of room to grow in his frame. He's strong, he's quick. He stops the run very well. I like defensive ends that actually play the run. Another DN who is going to be an All-American once he gets out of a junior college, I'm actually trying to help him to a junior college as we speak, is Deron Griffin from DeRidder High School. Probably the most gifted defensive end I saw in the state as a pass rusher for Buck linebacker. He's 6'3 and a half, about 220. He runs a legit 4.5 in the 40. And if you see this kid on film, every game is a highlight tape. He comes off the edge like he's a corner. He's got freakish skills and he's got high effort. He just needs to get his grades up. When he goes to a junior college, he will be an All-American. If he chooses to do that, I hope he does, young man. You're too gifted. God gave you too much talent. Go to a junior college, get your grades up, and be an All-American. And come out and sign with someone like an LSU in 2 years. We're going to go ahead and talk about another kid who's really, he's kind of an in-between player, but I thought he had a great year for New Iberia High School. It's Michael Atkins. He's a former quarterback for New Iberia. He's 6'3", about 230, plays DN, really can rush, can play the run. You can tell he's a former quarterback because he's got great feet. He's just learning how to play defense. He's a steal for D1 schools. He's quoted as saying, "I feel like it was a great fit for me." This is him talking about his commitment to Texas Southern. They took a chance on me, and Coach C's and I have a great relationship. I felt that's where I belong. Michael, you have a lot of talent, and I look forward to watching you in college football. If he signs with Texas Southern, he's going to have some big guys come after him still. Atkins is also a basketball player and a baseball player in track, throws the javelin for, as they call it in New Iberia, Nish High School. Another defensive end that I like a lot, Lamar Winston from Thibodaux. 6 foot, 255 pounds of muscle. If he was 6'3" or 6'2", he would be a national recruit. I still think this kid will make his mark at a 1AA school and dominate as a DN. He is so committed to the game. He's got old school traits of hard work. He brings his lunchbox. Every play this kid comes after you, and he's strong, got strong arms and chest, strong legs, super strong and powerful. I think Nicholls State needs to keep this kid locally. He'll be a great, great starter for them for 3, maybe 4 years. Another player that's, you can kind of say he's from the home area, but he's not far from Baton Rouge, kind of in between. Donaldsonville High School, Kevon Foster, who's a tight end defensive end for the school. I think Kevon's a DN for college. I've seen him play in 2018 and 19 and now in 2020. He's gifted. He runs a 4.8 for 940. He's chiseled. He's still learning the game. But a guy that's running a 4.8 at 6'4", 250, strong, once the light comes on in college, he's going to be a great player. He might be about 270 in college and stay at DN. He's their best recruit since Stephon Sullivan, who played at LSU and now the Seattle Seahawks, who's now a defensive end in the NFL, was a tight end at LSU. Another defensive end that I love a lot around the Baton Rouge area from West Feliciana It's almost a Woodville, Mississippi, but we're going to connect them to the Baton Rouge area because their district play and everything, is Clarence Emery. Clarence is 6'6", 220 pounds, and runs about a 4.7. And he's the kind of kid that I would take as a D1 signee if I was a coach and bulk him up to about 240 in about a year. And he'd run about a 4.7 or a 4.8. And he would be a big-time player. By the time he's a senior, he'll probably weigh 270 at 6'6", all muscle. I watched him play in 2019 and in 2020. He's got a lot of ability. He tries to model his game after Javion Clowney, Clowney who played at South Carolina, Houston, Texans, Seattle Seahawks, and now the Tennessee Titans. He likes South Alabama and Mobile, and he wants to major in engineering in college. His top school is South Alabama. When he's not playing sports, he likes to play backyard football with his friends. Man, I know what you're saying, Clarence. I did that growing up. Little old school hobby, man. I love that. I played backyard football with all the kids in my neighborhood when I was growing up. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about defensive tackles in Louisiana. Our second team, All-Louisiana defense, South Louisiana. We've already done North. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Burkeen. I hope you're enjoying the show today. Our topic is the second team defense for South Louisiana. We're talking about the defensive line. We just talked about defensive ends. Now we're going to talk about defensive tackles. In layman terms, if you're not a big football follower, you're just trying to learn the game and you're a parent, D tackles are your big guys on the D line that they go anywhere from 240 to 300 in high school. Most of these guys on the list I'm going to talk about today are at least 260 to 320, 330, anywhere from 6 foot. 5'11" to 6'4", 6'5". Some are recruits, some are just great players I want to mention that deserve mentioning. They deserve to be mentioned and just have their name in the paper. Sometimes they don't even have their height and weight in the paper, so I want to talk a little bit more about these guys. You got to listen to our shows. If you like this stuff, make sure you check out our North Louisiana teams. Check out our old podcasts that are listed in our library of shows to listen to. You can listen to any show we've ever done. We've done over 95 shows. We're almost at 100 shows, which it's nearing. We're going to continue on. Defensive tackles for South Louisiana, second team defense. I'm going to start with a sleeper by the name of Jaden Connolly from Springfield High School. Man, I love Springfield, Louisiana, close to Tickfall, Louisiana. Great place to take your boat out and go fishing and jet skiing. Great place to live. Springfield has a great football program. And Jaden Connolly is one of those guys that's underrated from Springfield High School. Runs a legitimate 4.9 40, but what I like about Jaden is he gives you a ton of effort. And he's strong. And he's very football high IQ. He's also a starter on the offense and defensive lines for his high school, where they have to play most of their linemen both sides of the football. He never leaves the game, and I love his toughness. Quote he's saying, "I'm looking for a place to further my education in athletics that will have family and brotherhood needed to be a successful team." Great quote, Jaden. In the weight room, he benches 265 and squats 425. Power cleans an amazing 270. When he's not playing football, Jaden Connolly is usually at home doing homework or playing video games. A lot of kids, they say, playing video games. His favorite NFL player is Aaron Donald from played at Pittsburgh College, and now currently with the Los Angeles Rams. Another defensive tackle that I think is going to be a great diamond in the rough from Cy Academy in New Orleans, Louisiana, Harold Dunbar. Harold is somebody I saw in 2019 as a junior, and you can tell just by looking at him that he's got all what you're looking for. He just needs to put it together. He's 6'4", 260, all muscle. He has everything. He's just learning the game. He could become a dominant player in college if the light comes on. He runs a legitimate 5 flat to 4.9 in the 40. He's got what you need. He's a guy that if a small D1 school takes a chance on him or a 1AA school, he could develop into a great player. Another D tackle that I think is phenomenal out of East Ascension High School in Baton Rouge is Jerrell Boykins. I think Jerrell Boykins has a ton of talent. He's 6'3 and a half, I'd say 6'4", 290. Long arms and legs like a kid that's about 6'8". Since his sophomore year, Boykins has been built like a college football player. He's got the feet, the length, and the ability to become a great player. He's 15 pounds heavier in 220 when he played this year. You know, this is a high school that produced Deshaun Hall that went to Louisiana Tech that will be in the NFL one day. Deshaun Hall was not offered by LSU, and this kid hasn't been offered by LSU, which I'm just trying to prove a point home that LSU needs to stay with some of these local kids. He has been offered by Texas A&M, Kansas, Tulane, Ole Miss, Arkansas. He's quoted as saying, when I'm looking for a school, I'm looking for a great community, academics, and what's best for me and my family. He's originally from Padio, Texas, transferred to Gonzales, and as soon as he moved to Louisiana, he's been a starter ever since at East Ascension High School. His idol right now for D-line in the NFL is Cameron Jordan. Not a bad one to have with the Saints. He likes Myles Garrett with the Cleveland Browns and Aaron Donald. All these kids love Aaron Donald. I wouldn't disagree with that. Another player that I like a lot from the Houma area, from Ellender High School, is William Travis. 6'1", about 275. I really like his toughness, and I've seen this kid play for 3 years. He can play nose guard at the next level or D tackle. He's quick enough to be a D tackle, but he's strong enough to be a nose guard. In layman terms, if you don't know what a nose guard is, he's usually those 300 to 330-pound kids that just take up a lot of space, and it takes 2 to 3 blockers, which allows everybody else to make tackles. It's basically putting a Mack truck in the middle of your defense that you can't run through. Another D tackle that I like a lot from Franklin, Louisiana, not Franklinton, but Franklin, Louisiana, is Dayton Mays. About 6 foot, I'll give him 6'1", 300 pounds, 315, with great feet. Dayton Mays also is an offensive lineman for Franklin. All their linemen play both sides of the ball. And I like how tough he is. I love his effort. And he's got good feet for a big guy. Another D tackle that I like, we're going to talk about nose guards now, is Tony Gibson from Church Point, which are now currently deep into the playoffs and have a chance to go play for a state title if they can win this week, if they can win 2 more games. The reason that Church Point is so good on defense is Tony Gibson. He's 6'1", about 305, 310. He's got the feet of a linebacker. He's got an SEC future. He's got LSU talent. He's put together. He runs like a DN more than a nose guard. Loose hips, meaning he can run sideline to sideline to make tackles. He's really got a lot of talent. I like Tony Gibson a lot. I think Tony could be an LSU player and be an impact guy. Another nose guard that I like a lot is from Acadiana High School, at Travion Bozier. Not Bozier High School in Shreveport area, but Travion Bozier from Acadiana High School around Lafayette. Here's a kid 6'3", about 285, and looks about 260. That's all you got to say. When you're built like that and you look lean, you got a great future. He's tough. He fits the nose guard model for his feet. And I think he could be a great college player. With a little work, he could be a starter D1 in time. He's committed to Texas Southern. Another nose guard that I've enjoyed watching for 4 years is Walter Robert from McDonough 35 in New Orleans. Walter has been coached up, and he's received great coaching from McDonough 35. I really think this kid could be a great nose guard D1. He could play for anybody. He's just 6 foot, but most nose guards are not very tall anyway. He's 280 with great feet. And, man, he gets out and makes tackles sideline to sideline like a linebacker. Their D-line had over 30 sacks combined in 19 and the same in 2020. Coach Frank Daggs, his head coach, is one of the best D-line coaches in the state. When you get a D-lineman from McDonough 35 coached by Frank Daggs, the kid is going to be good because he really gets after these guys and teaches them great technique. What I like about Walter is that he's a nose guard that always gets about 30 tackles a year, 4 or 5 sacks, which you don't see from nose guards usually. And he's super strong in the weight room. He's power cleans about 250. He squats about 325. Here's a quote from Walter. I want to show that I deserve to be there for college. When not playing football, Robert also plays basketball for school. Think of that, a basketball player at 286 foot running the court. I give him a scholarship just for being able to do that. Another nose guard from Scotlandville High School in Baton Rouge, I think one of the best in the state, is Jamie Cleveland. Jamie is 6 foot, 300 pounds, is a 3-year starter, has played it since his freshman season. I've seen him play. He's got good feet. He's a strong kid. And the last nose guard that I was high on at Scotlandville, nobody was listening, I think, at LSU. A kid by the name of Tanzel Smart that went to Tulane and made All-American, and now he's in the NFL. He's going into his 5th year of football in the NFL, Tanzel Smart. I think Jamie Cleveland could be as good as Tanzel Smart. 72 tackles from this kid in 2019, almost that in 220. He's got 20 sacks in the last 2 years combined. He can bench press 375 pounds, and he power cleans 305. He only has one offer from Louisiana College. Louisiana College needs to get a medal because even though they're at NAI school now, they see the talent in a guy who's D1. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about linebackers. We're going to start with Mike linebackers for our second team, all South Louisiana defense in Louisiana. I hope you're enjoying the show. We'll be right back. Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Burkeen. Be sure to also go to lafootballmagazine.com to get your magazine from this September for this football season. If you don't know what it is, it's got all the kids that we're talking about today in the magazine. All these kids are in the magazine, and all the schools, and all the recruiting, and all the colleges. It's a printed magazine, and you could also get a digital copy from our website, lafootballmagazine.com. Get your order. Place an order to get a magazine. We can ship it. It takes about 4 to 7 days once you order, and we'd love to get it to you. You can use this for the playoffs. You can keep it as a keepsake for the rest of your life if your kid's in it, or your school. Or you just might like recruiting. It's tons of recruiting information in both issues, North and South copies. We're going to continue on with our second team, All-Louisiana South defense. We're going to talk about Mike linebackers this segment. And I'm going to start with a big-time sleeper at Edna Karr High School. Now, people might say, Lee, why are you saying sleeper? Well, there are some guys on this Edna Karr team that are not noticed because there's so many recruits. Sometimes that's something that happens in high school. You'll see a team that has like 12 senior recruits. And schools go look for 3 guys out of the 12, and there's the other 9, right? That's what we're talking about today, are those other 9. And one of those guys, one of those other 9 D1 guys or 1AA guys for Edna Karr is a kid by the name of Con Meads Jr. Meads Jr., who's 6'2", 220, has played for 4 years in the program. Not always a starter because you got to back up somebody D1 every year. But what's impressive is this kid is built D1, runs D1, and he's gifted, and he plays all out. He rotates in with other talented linebackers. That's probably why he's an underrated player. In 2019, when he led his team to a state championship, he had 47 tackles and didn't even play full-time. And he had 8 sacks. This year, he's got about the same. He's got like 16 sacks in 2 years. He's 6'2". Now he's 235, almost 6'3". He likes Virginia, UTEP, Mississippi State, Florida State, and Kansas. When he's not playing football, he spends his free time playing video games or listening to music. There you go. It's finally something besides video games. Another big-time linebacker that I like on the second team All-South defense is a Mike linebacker by the name of Dylan Gibbs from Destrehan High School, who's 6 foot, about 220, who's currently committed to Southeastern College in Hammond. Dylan's dad played for Nicholls State back in the day for the Colonels. Dylan, you can tell, has a high IQ of the game. You can tell he comes from a family that is football 24/7. He's tough. He knows the game, so he reads every play. And what his biggest strength is his ability to read and cover as a Mike linebacker. He's very adept at the pass, covering tight ends, the run, and he's a leader. He gets his team lined up. He's the backbone of the defense at Destrehan that's got a chance to go back to a state championship game. Runs about a 4.79, 4.8 40, looks a little quicker on the field because he knows the game. Another Mike linebacker who's really a DN for his school, but he's a linebacker for college, is Jalen Thomas, whose dad also played college football. Jalen is 6'1", about 240, and has a 4.7 in the 40. He's very gifted, very strong. We've talked about him earlier this year. We had his dad come on the show, Franklin Thomas, who played for Grambling and was drafted by the Detroit Lions, his dad. Here's a kid who had 75 tackles, 20 tackles for loss just in 2019 alone. And he's super strong. He deadlifts 525, power cleans 275. He trains under Keith Ballard, who played in the NFL, who helped train Dylan Moses. Growing up, he loves LSU and Alabama, Florida, Florida State, and believe it or not, Wyoming. And he's had interest from Yale and UL, Lamar, Grambling, Columbia, LSU. He's a very good student, too. Another kid at Mike linebacker that I like under the radar from Salmon High School in Slidell, Louisiana, is Carl Simmons with a K, Carl Simmons. He's 5'11", about 220, 225, and he's just a football player. He gets after you. Sometimes you just need to sign football players. Forget what they run the 40. Forget how tall they are. Remember the old late Sam Mills with the Saints, who was like 5'9", maybe 220, was all-pro, Hall of Famer? What about Devin White, who's really 5'11", about 240, from North Webster? Some people don't draw up, but they're just super players. They're phenomenal, and they're gifted. And this is what Carl Simmons is. He doesn't even play on a team that you hear a lot about. But he had 61 tackles in 19 and about the same in 220. He's going to pursue a business degree in college. His favorite player is Mack Wilson that played at Alabama, currently starting for the Cleveland Browns. He squats 465 pounds. When he's not playing football, he enjoys designing clothes. There you go, Carl. Might be in New York one day, man, designing clothes, or on the West Coast. Another Mike linebacker that I like a lot is from Notre Dame of Crowley High School, Lance Castile. Every defense in college and in high school and the pros needs a leader that can really be the leader of your team and the leader of your defense, and that's what Lance is. Lance controls the middle of the field for Notre Dame. He's a tackling machine. He's like many that have come before him at Notre Dame. He's 5'10", about 220, runs about a 4.8, looks faster. He's tough, high IQ of the game, and somebody could use him if he decides to play even football at all. at the next level. He's a 3-year starter. He's got over 100 and something tackles between the last 2 years. He's got about 10 sacks the last 2 years combined. He's received one offer from Louisiana College, which I think he could go to a D2 school, actually, or even one AA. He could walk on to his favorite childhood schools like ULL, McNeese State, and LSU. He's going to major in nursing in college. In the weight room, he benches 335. That is impressive at 220. And he cleans 260, squats 420. When he's not playing football, Castile loves working out, playing PlayStation with his friends. Man, video games is like the thing. If there's anything we get across besides recruiting today, it's video games is really the number one hobby for most of these kids. Another Mike linebacker from University High who's got some great bloodlines is Micah Davey, the son of Raymond Davey, former LSU quarterback. Micah missed his junior season because of injuries at U-High and most of his sophomore year, but this year as a senior, he's been a dominant force for them. The reason they're in the semifinals, a game away to go to a state title game, is Micah Davey's made this defense really strong. He's 6'1", 247 pounds of muscle. His dad, Rowan, is 6'3", so he could grow a little bit more before it's done. I think he's good enough to go to LSU and play Mike linebacker. He's not getting all the attention that you read about, but who cares? He's got the ability. He's only got a year on his resume, but he's got the ability to be a great one. We don't want another one to leave the state. Kristen Harris went to Alabama. LSU didn't offer him till like 2 weeks before signing day. And I remember talking to Christian Harris's dad, and he wanted Christian to go to LSU, but they didn't recruit him. Micah Davey is someone that they need to get if they need a legitimate Mike linebacker. He's the son of an LSU player. He's got offers from Prairie View A&M and Louisiana College. I think he's D1. He's quoted as saying this to us: "I am looking for a college that can prepare me for life beyond football and mold me into an educated man and help me finish my degree." Great quote, Micah. He squats 415 pounds, he benches 290, and he cleans 285. And here's a kid who's only going to get stronger. And let me tell you, like I said, he's chiseled. I've seen this kid play this year. He's almost 250. He's kind of like a Devin White. He carries a lot of weight really well. When he's not playing football, he enjoys playing basketball. Another Mike linebacker who's a late bloomer from Southern Lab in Baton Rouge is Blaine Ferguson. I was able to watch Southern Lab about a month ago, and Blaine impressed me. He's 6'2", about 215, 220. He can run. He's only got tape on this year. He's a great player. He's a bit of an unknown. Another Mike linebacker he's quietly been a 4-year starter for Scotlandville in Baton Rouge, Jeremiah Williams. He's 6'1", 240. He's built like an NFL linebacker. He's been this way for 3 years. He can run a 4.8 40, which is really Mike linebacker speed. He's had over 120 tackles in 2 years combined. He's had over 8 sacks for the past 2 years. But he likes Alabama, Michigan, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Arkansas. That's who he grew up liking. He's quoted as saying, "What I'm looking for in a college is a place I can call home and people around me who are going to better me on and off the field while also preparing me for the next level." Williams is quoted as saying. He squats 405 pounds. He enjoys hanging out with his family and his girlfriend. You go, Jeremiah Williams. We're going to come back when we take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about outside linebackers in Louisiana for our second team All-Louisiana South defense. We're going to start with Archbishop Shaw. They got a great kid by the name of Baron Miles. We'll be right back. So, hey, guys, just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Harvey Autos. If you need a new or used car, there's 3 great dealerships right here worth checking out. John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Low prices, honest people. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I am your host, Lee Burkeen. I hope you're not too bored. I hope you're loving this information. This is an information show, let's face it. If you love recruiting, you love knowledge of the teams and the kids, this is the kind of show that you ought to love to hear, right? I think so. I mean, I love it. I think the kids will, the parents and the coaches. And hopefully some colleges are listening for some of these kids that should be going D1 or 1AA or D2 or D3 or prep schools or junior colleges. We're going to go ahead and continue in our topic, this segment. We're going to talk about outside linebackers for college football, our second team All-Louisiana South team for defense. We're going to start with Baron Miles from Archbishop Shaw High School in the West Bank of New Orleans. Baron is 6'1", about 215. Plays DN for his team. That's where they need him. He's kind of like a rush linebacker, kind of like a buck linebacker, but he's really an outside linebacker for college. I think he's one heck of a football player. He's the kind of linebacker everybody's looking for these spread offenses. He's big enough to be a linebacker. He's quick enough to play like a DB. He can guard a receiver. He can guard a tight end. And I think he's LSU good. They haven't offered him. He had 12 sacks in 2019, had 12 or 13 this year. He had over 25 sacks in 2 years. He's received some offers from some NAI schools like North Florida Prep and Baptist College and Carthage College. He's way, no offense to these colleges, but he's way better than that talent-wise. He runs about a 4.69 in the 40. He will be probably 230 in college. Reminds me a lot of Patrick Queen that came out of Livonia. Only difference is Baron didn't play running back like Patrick Queen, but Baron has got the same build, the same instincts. Another player that I love a lot. Because of the hurricane, he had to go from Washington Marion High School that didn't play this year and transferred to Lake Charles College Prep. A kid by the name of Darius Washington, 6'2", about 210, a linebacker, who's received an offer from Louisiana College, but he's a D1 guy. I've watched him for 3 years. He runs a 4.6. He's played tight end. He's played linebacker. He's played safety. He's played a little receiver. But he's an outside linebacker dream for a college. He could be 230 and lean in college at 6'2". He reads. He reminds me of Deion Jones' build. When Deion Jones was at Jesuit, when I sent the tape to LSU, from Deion's junior year, Deion weighed about 195, and he was just everywhere. Could outrun anybody in the state, and end up being what? Now he's 230, playing for the Falcons. He's all pro, and he covers receivers better than some corners. It's one of the John Chavis signees that I helped John with when I was doing video early on for Les Miles. Early on, the first 2 years. And all of Nick Saban's tenure at LSU, I did the video for LSU for Louisiana. Another outside linebacker who's really a DB in high school, actually, but he's got that body and he's got that speed, is Romel Jones from Capital in Baton Rouge. Romel, 6'1", about 205, looks about 190, runs extremely well. Could be a safety, but I think he's an outside linebacker. Like I said, he's what these D1 defenses are looking for. These hybrid kids who can guard receivers when they go 5 wide, 4 wide with receivers. Another sleeper outside linebacker I like a lot is from Hammond High School. This is Darion Freeman. Way under the radar, 6'1", about 210, can really run, plays more defensive end for the team where they need him, but he's really a linebacker for college. Another big-time sleeper in Baton Rouge at outside linebacker is a kid by the name of Andre Haynes from Madison Prep. 6'2", 190, and he gets lost in the shuffle. Remember when I was saying earlier some teams have like 12 college prospects, and colleges are looking at the rated guys, and the other 7 or 8 aren't rated, and they go, oh my gosh, we need to recruit this guy now. Well, Andre Haynes is that kind of guy. You go to a game and you go, man, I need to recruit this guy now. He runs a 4.5 in the 40, got a ton of ability, has a chance to check all the boxes in college, has a chance to be about 220 in college. Another outside linebacker who I was talking about a month ago that got picked up by Tulane, I wonder if they were hearing me, from Episcopal High School, Austin Seibrandt. Austin Seibrandt from Episcopal High School. Sorry about that, parents. Austin is 6'3", about 210, runs a 4.540. He has changed his body 100% from a year ago. A year ago, he was 185, running a 4.7. Now he's 6'3", 210, running 4.5 off the edge, and was phenomenal for Episcopal this year. And Tulane picked up on that, and he committed to him like a week ago. Another player, outside linebacker from McDonough 35, physical, tough, David Ellis, 6 foot 210, started as a DB at McDonough 35. And look, people, if you say McDonough 35, these guys aren't ranked, well, guess what? 2 of their players that are not ranked are potential All-Americans this year in college football. One's a DB at Florida, and one's a DB at Arkansas. David's the next one. He runs a 4.5, big-time hitter, would be a great safety. I think he's an outside linebacker. He's one of the most athletic linebackers the last 4 years, starting for McDonough at 35. He's a steal for D1. Let me tell you his numbers just in 2019. He had 100 tackles, 18 for losses, 10 sacks. In 2 years, he's had over 200 tackles, over 37 tackles for losses, and over 20 sacks. And he squats 520, benches 315. Incredible player. I wish LSU would take a look at him before signing day's over if they need an outside linebacker who can play. They've made mistakes on a couple of their kids already in the SEC. Don't let a third one go off to the SEC. Another player, outside linebacker from Brother Martin, whose dad's a coach, Noah Shashery. From Brother Martin, the Crusaders, who is in the semifinals this weekend for the playoffs. Noah's one of the reasons they're great on defense. Noah's got a head for just an eye for the game. You can tell his dad's a coach. You can tell he's absorbed all this information. He's the son of Garrett Shashery, who was at Arizona as an assistant. He was at Cal Berkeley as an assistant. Most recently, he was at Western Kentucky. He was at Tulane. He's grown up eating and sleeping football. Here's a kid that's about 6 foot, about 205, 208, and can run about a 4.7. And he's going to be a great player in college. He can go 1AA. He's made himself into a 1AA player. He's quoted as saying, "It is great." He wants to be a sports agent after his playing days are over. If you allow me to ask questions, get coaching advice, and learning things that most kids don't get at home, it means a lot, because last year he didn't get to see many of the games because he was coaching. Quote from Noah about his dad, Garrett. With him taking the year off, it's great having him being able to watch his senior year, which he's, like I said, he's the son of Coach Garrett Shashery, who is a great guy who'll get back into college coaching. I know you will, Garrett, once your son's career's over. You can call me for recruiting help once you get back to college. We're going to continue on with outside linebackers. Kendrick Duncan from Southern Lab High School in Baton Rouge, a late bloomer, has come on his senior year. He's 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", about 200 pounds. Can run a 4.5 40. Has a great feel for the game. Really great player, under the radar. They had a kid go to Arizona last year, a linebacker. I thought LSU should have took as an outside linebacker, who's going to end up being a great player at Arizona. Right here in Baton Rouge. Another outside linebacker I like a lot, from Landry Walker on the West Bank in Algiers, Louisiana, close to New Orleans, Travis Martin. Travis is 6'3", 215. He's put on 25 pounds. He's grown 2 inches since 2019. Runs about a 4.6 in the 40. He's a grown man. This guy's got big-time frame. Could actually grow into a buck linebacker in college. I think he's D1. He's gotten a lot of NAI information, offers, people calling him, but he's really a D1 player. Another outside linebacker is from Riverside Academy, Shamar Jackson. 6 foot 205. Started his career off as a running back at Riverside. He's got a lot of power. He can run about a 4.59 40. He's just now learning to play the game at linebacker. He's been a linebacker only really a couple of years now. 4-year starter for Riverside. Another outside linebacker that I think is a big-time steal is from Bogalusa High School, Jarvis Dawson. 6'1", about 215. He's a 4-year starter. Super gifted. I think he's got a pro career if he continues to go where he's going with his ability. He's very gifted. Runs a 4.65 40. 200 tackles in 2 years. 7 forced fumbles in the last 2 years. 7 sacks in the last 2 years. He says, he's quoted as saying, "I'm looking for a great defensive staff that can help me with my game," Dawson said. Squats 500 pounds. When he's not playing football, Dawson enjoys playing baseball. Another player in Tangipahoa Parish from Kentwood, Jacavius Callahan, who's done everything for Kentwood in 4 years. He's 6'1", 205. He's the younger brother of Trey Palmer at LSU. Runs a 4.5 in the 40. He had 87 tackles in 19 and about the same in 220. He's carrying that family tradition. Trey Palmer is his brother. And Callahan plays offense and defense for Kentwood, but I think he's a linebacker, outside linebacker for college. Another player, sleeper from Landry Walker, they got a few of them, in Algiers, is Joshua Berthelot, 6'2", 215, plays DN for his team, low linebacker. I think he's a linebacker from college. I think he could be 240 easy. He's committed to Hawaii. Hawaii College, man, you go. Joshua, that's a great place to go and play football. He's had 200 tackles in 2 years and over 25 sacks the last 2 years combined. He's had over 40 tackles combined behind the line of scrimmage the last 2 years. He was also offered by Arizona and the University of Houston, but he chose the Rainbow Warriors because he wants to play right away. They told him he could play right away. He squats 525 pounds. Another linebacker on the West Bank, Andrew Jones from John Aird High School. You've probably seen his name on some websites ranked. He's about 6 foot, about 210, 215. He started as a sophomore in 218 when I saw him play in person. He's looking to carry that John Aird tradition at linebacker with, Michael Divinity, LSU, Dejon Harris, Arkansas, Thaddeus Washington, Colorado, Mike Phillips, Colorado, Lamont Barrow, LSU, Kenny Lewis, Wichita State, Alan Zeno, Oklahoma. He's the next one. He's received offers from about 12 Division I schools. Actually, it's up to about 22 now. And I think he fits that mold for playing outside linebacker. He's like a lot of the guys I mentioned. He can run, and he can guard receivers in the slot, which is what you need now on defense. Another big-time outside linebacker sleeper is a guy named Braylon Celestine from Lafayette High School. Braylon's about 5'11", probably about 205, runs about a 4.5 40, has a lot of ability. Pushing 6 foot tall, actually. A lot of ability. I watched him play this year. I think he's come a long way since his junior year. Another player, a big-time sleeper, as an outside linebacker for college from New Iberia High School is Alvonte Bologna. 6'3", 215. Man, he looks the part. Runs a 4.5 in the 40. Still growing. He's grown into a linebacker from safety. This is only his second year to play football. And let me tell you, he looks the part. He looks like he could suit up for LSU, Alabama tomorrow. He's got that kind of ability. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about our defensive backs for the second team South All-Louisiana team. We're going to talk about cornerbacks. Cornerbacks are next. We'll be right back.
Parents, are you looking for advice on getting your high school athlete recruited by the right college? Lee Burkeen is your answer. Lee has been doing it for over 30 years. He knows the ropes, and more importantly, he knows the people. Lee offers turnkey service from evaluation, creating highlight tapes in the correct format, and complete guidelines for effective communication with the schools. No matter the sport, girl or boy, no matter what grade your child is in, let Lee Burkeen help match your child to the right college fit. Go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, and get connected today.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I am your host, Lee Burkeen. I hope you're enjoying the show. We're talking about the second team South defense for recruits. All Louisiana team, second team. A lot of these guys are D1, serious D1 players that you're not hearing about. You're hearing about it on the show today. If I hear anybody in the public say, oh, we didn't know about this guy, I'm going to play this recording of the show about a month from now when people start talking about these guys. Or 2 months from now when they go, well, who was that guy? Why didn't nobody talk? Well, I did. I'm just sharing it. I want to help these kids. I'm sharing my notes that I've never shared to the public outside of the magazine. You know, I'm sharing what I would give to colleges. And I've been doing this since 1991. And I've actually got more information than this on these kids that I'll share with the colleges. This is just like a little appetizer. This is the only time we have. We can't do a 10-hour show, you know, for each All-Louisiana team. We don't have that much time. I don't think people could go that much time to listen. I mean, 2 hours is probably enough, or an hour and a half a show to do this. But we are helping these kids, and that's what makes me feel good. And I thought we should share it with the public this year, and I'm glad we're doing it. We're going to continue on. We're going to talk about cornerbacks for our second team, All-Louisiana South team. That's our topic today, is the second team, All-South Louisiana team. Now, cornerbacks, a kid I like a lot who played corner this year. He was a receiver, and he transitioned to corner this year, and he's really become a great corner. He's from Denham Springs High School, Troy Goldman. 6'2", 185, looks the part. As a receiver, he really never had the great hands. He always looked the part, you know. But as a corner, he took to that position, to me, better. I think Britt Beard obviously would agree because he moved him to corner, and he's had a great year. I watched him 2 or 3 games this year. He runs a 4.47 40, so he's got the speed and hips, the size. He could be a great corner in college. He likes Nicholls State and Louisiana College. I think he'll get some bigger offers as time goes on, depending on his grades. You know, I always tell parents, whatever your grades are, the better your grades, the more opportunities you'll have. And that's for all these kids today. Another corner that I love a lot, he's new to the game, Quincy Dent from Scotlandville, 6'3", 183. He's got that Grady Williams height and length. Kind of plays like Grady, more of the pass coverage kind of guy, down the field kind of guy that plays man defense, needs to work a little bit on the run game, but he's got a great frame, and he's new. I think he's D1. Another defensive back that if you just want a gritty guy that's tough, that can play you in your face, man defense as a corner, is Tyler Martin from Destrehan. 5'10", 160. He's been offered by Southeastern, New Mexico State, McNeese State, Nicholls State, Lamar. Not a big guy, but a tough kid that plays corner. Corners don't have to be tall. Coaches know that. Just got to be special. To me, the best corner in the state that nobody's talking about. Again, this is why sometimes these websites just drives me crazy on these rankings when kids aren't being ranked truly, because people are not watching enough football. But from Slidell High School, Farron Lewis, Farron Lewis from Slidell. This guy is as good as any corner I've seen this year in the state. 5'11", 165. He is a ball hawk. And they got 2 or 3 DBs that are D1, believe it or not. And coaches might not even believe it. But I guess that's kind of like when Matt Forte came out about 12 years ago, 15 years ago. People, he's not ranked. Well, Tulane took him, and he was an All-American at 6'1", 220. Same thing with Dak Prescott at Houghton. I don't know. Well, you got to see out the box on what kids can do. And here's another one. Again, remember the name, Farron Lewis. He might go to Southern Miss or something like that, but I think he's going to be an NFL guy if he continues. He's also a track guy, second in the 400 meters and 200 meters. Another corner from Slidell High School is Jonas Perriman, 5'11", 165, a D1 corner. They have 2 D1 corners. They have 3 D1 DBs. Another corner who's big time under the radar from Pickering, right outside of Lake Charles, is a kid by the name of Deshaun Jackson I had a chance to see. He's a receiver DB. He plays both sides of the ball for Pickering because they need everybody to play both sides of the ball. But he's 6'2", legit 180, and he's as gifted as anybody in the state. I think he would be a great corner. He's really good. He's averaging 26.8 yards a catch this past season. And he was getting 107.3 yards a game as a receiver. And he had 14 touchdowns. Quote, he's saying, I have a couple of schools in interest, and I've been offered by Mississippi State, Southern Miss, Grambling, Northwestern State, Tulane, Southern, and Arkansas, Monticello, and there are plenty of more still to come, I think. He's quoted as saying to us, I'm not choosing between both sports. I love them both, but I'm undecided on both sports right now, which is interesting. Deshaun, pick the sport you love, but I think you're a football player. Another corner from Tangibo Parish, from Kentwood High School, having a great year. Late bloomer, Jaron Eugene, who's 6'1", 175. Really come on late his senior year. I think he runs a legit 4.5 in the 40. Would make a great corner in D1 ball. He's under the radar. Another corner from Lafayette Christian Academy, who's tough. He's become a bigger kid his senior year, is Anthony Richard, or they might say Richard. He's really tall. He runs a 4.59 in the 40. He gets overlooked because of Sage Ryan playing for the team. But he's got a lot of talent. He's quoted as saying to us, it has to feel like home and have a great environment with an even a better coaching staff for where he's going to go to college. He plays for the 3-time state champion Lafayette Christian team. They got a chance to win 4 state titles. He has a chance to get 4 rings. When not playing football, Richard or Richard is either running track for the school or hanging out with friends. Another big-time corner, SEC ability, is Lucius Tillery from St. Aug of New Orleans, St. Augustine Purple Knights. He's a late bloomer with skills, and let me tell you something. I watched him against Zachary in person this year. Saw him last year. He is a big-time hitter, and he can cover anybody in the state. That includes Brian Thomas of Walker, Jack Besh. He's that kind of corner that you want to put against the best in the state. I think LSU, if they need a corner, they need to get deep in the recruiting and look at the talent in Louisiana. Another big-time corner from St. Aug, from the same school, who's a one-year wonder, and he's having a heck of a year, is Dinario Rattler, who's 6'2", 185, and long, and plays man defense, plays the run, plays the pass. He looks as good as any corner in the state. Just between Lucius Tillery and Dinario Rattler, LSU could take these. These two guys are big-time players that they're not recruiting, and they need corners. Another big-time corner who's got LSU abilities, Jacory Easter, or they say Esther, from St. James High School, 6 foot 170. He thinks he's 200 pounds. He'll hit you like he's a linebacker. I love that about corners. He's old school. He plays big. You want that in a corner. And, by the way, he runs a 4.45 40. And, by the way, in 19, he had 60 tackles, 44 solo. He's got 12 interceptions the last 2 years combined. He's a big-time baller. Another big-time corner at Warren Easton, under the radar, that I think will probably go low D1 because there's so many good corners in the state, is Raymond Evans from Warren Easton. 5'10", 170 pounds. Had 61 tackles in 219, had about the same in 220. I love that how he plays the run. He's tough against the run. Not all corners do that. And he's all district and track. He runs a legitimate 4.45 in the 40. Another big-time corner. You got to go see the kid play to know this. He's not ranked heavily. It's Justin Agu from Dutchtown High School. Justin is 6 foot, about 175, 180. Looks a little bigger. He's got great skills. He's tough. He plays the run. He plays the pass. He could be a nickel corner. He could be a strong safety. He's quoted as saying, "What I'm looking for in choosing a college is a coaching staff that values their players on and off the field," quote. Squats 365, power cleans 235. This is a DB. This is a corner. Another big-time cornerback from John Ehret High School, who's a 3-year starter. I've seen him play in person as well. William Poole from John Ehret on the West Bank. He played at McDonough 35 in 2018 when I first saw him play as a wide receiver with great speed. Now he's a wide receiver corner for John Ehret. He's had a great year. He's coming off of an ACL and LCL injury that he had before the 2019 season. He's 100%. And he's quoted as saying to us, "Things I look at when choosing a college is playing time, depth charts, and if it feels like home." Another big-time corner that'll have to start probably junior college. I think he's an NFL corner. He might go pro out of junior college, is Jacoby Belazar from Capitol High School in Baton Rouge. He's 6'1", 180. He runs a legit 4.39 in the 40. He's one of the fastest players in the state. He's not a track guy. He's a football guy that runs track. He's God-gifted. He plays 7 positions for Capitol because they only had about 13 kids in most of their games this year. He played every position you can mention for skilled players on a football team. That's why he's not being heavily recruited. You don't get to see him play one position. But if you go to a game and you see Capitol play, you know that he's phenomenal. Another corner who's under the radar, another A-Meet DB, they've had a ton of them signed the last 30 years, is Bryce Lon Sims, who's 6'2", 185. He's a poster boy for being a late bloomer because every year they have a senior ahead of him that everybody's looking at. He's tough, he's fast, and he has good hands. He plays receiver, too, for A-Meet. He's long. He had 40 catches in 2019. He had over 80 catches in the last 2 years and over 10 touchdowns. He likes LSU, Louisiana Tech, Mississippi State, Baylor, and UL. LSU has not offered him. Again, there's about 10 DBs that I'm talking about today, just South Louisiana, that are corners that have NFL talent. And you can keep this show and remind me about it in 4 years and how many of these guys are going to play in the NFL that LSU needs to offer. Bring this back home to the state. Recruit your state. And I'm speaking to all the colleges in Louisiana. Another corner who's more of a nickel corner for John Curtis. He started at Holy Cross. I remember seeing him at Holy Cross early on. Jackson Wallace, 6', 190. Even though he's 190, he runs really well. Like I said, it'd be more of a nickel corner. Might grow into a safety, strong safety, but I think he's still a nickel corner. I love his hitting ability. I love how tough he is. It's his first year to start for John Curtis in 220. He's been offered by Northwestern State, Lamar, Georgetown, Columbia, Southeastern, Navy, Cornell, Brown, and Dartmouth. Get this. He has a 4.7 GPA and a 23 ACT. Yes, I'm not saying this wrong. He has a 4.7 GPA. I don't even know how you get a 4.7. That's basically making a perfect score on everything imaginable plus extra credit. Man. Unbelievable, Jackson. Keep it up, man. You're an Einstein. I mean, you're going to be an ambassador one day. And I say that as a compliment. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about safeties. We're going to talk about free safeties in South Louisiana for a second-team, all-Louisiana team in Louisiana. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Burkeen. Today's topic is the second-team All-Louisiana South defense. A lot of talent. A lot of talent. A lot of guys I mentioned today will play in the NFL one day, play college ball, D1, 1AA, D2, some D3, some prep schools, some junior colleges. Some are going to sign back to D1 from junior colleges. Some might go pro out of junior colleges. We're going to continue on with our free safeties, our defensive backs. These are usually your taller guys. Sometimes they align all the DBs up. They're the last of defense in the back. Their goal is to not give up the big play, also help the corners underneath, come up and be like a linebacker and hit people, be an enforcer, be everything. They're not quite outside linebackers, but they're close to it in size. Some of them are just about the same size. But we got a few of them. We're going to start with Marlon Smart from Madison Prep, who's 6'2", 185, would make a great free safety in college. Runs a 4.5. He will hit you. I'd like to see him a little more physical because he could dominate. He could actually dominate. And I say that as a compliment to you, Marlon Smart. You could be as good as you want to be. Another free safety from Baton Rouge, from University High, is Jordan Gilbert, who LSU offered late, as did Texas A&M and some other schools. He has over 30 D1 offers. He's about 6'1", 6'2", about 180. He's a 4-year starter. I've always liked Jordan. In his senior year, he arrived. He put on that little bit extra weight, brought it a little more, and started to dominate a little more. And he was also overlooked when he was younger because of all the talent they had. They had Jordan Clark that signed with Arizona State when he was a freshman starting in the sophomore. They had, Christian Harris, who was a DB for him. He was overlooked playing next to him. He was overlooked playing next to Micah Tong, who's now leaving Georgia, by the way. So he had all that talent. He was overlooked, but yet he was a starter back then. And now that he's a senior, Jordan Gilbert has an offer on the table from LSU, and they need him. He's a 4.5 and a 40 guy. He's one of about 10 really good safeties in the state that are all about equal to me. And he'll commit, he told us, on January 2nd on NBC. Around his, I think that is the Army game, which he'll play in on NBC. We're going to go ahead and talk about free safeties, continue on. A new kid from Catholic High, transferred in for his senior year, Jackson Demouy. You might remember that name. His dad played baseball for LSU. Chris Demouy was a really good pitcher for Skip Burtman. His family's from Baton Rouge, but he moved to Louisiana. He was living in Spring, Texas. He's 6'3", 195. He's the enforcer of the back end of their defense. He's really brought a lot to Catholic High. They have two of the best safeties in the state. There are other safeties on the first team. Another free safety I like a lot is Carrie Martin from West Jefferson on the West Bank in New Orleans. 6'2", 185, runs 4.5, and an enforcer. He's really tough. He's as good as Jordan Gilbert or any of these guys we're going to talk about. I saw him play this year and last year. Plays the run, plays the pass. Another big-time safety is Andre Dunbar from Donaldsonville, 6'2", 6'3", 180. Big-time hitter, plays the run. Another big-time safety is Nylon Phillips from New Iberia High School. 6'1", 185, really big-time player. Strong, physical, plays the run, plays the pass. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about strong safeties. These are the smaller safeties that aren't as big as free safeties and need to be closer up to the line, play less space, do more damage, playing a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, helps out in the slot against people in the slot when they go 5 wide on offense or 4 wide. We're going to come back with our top strong safeties in the state. We'll be right back. Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Burkeen. We're going to continue on our South Louisiana team, second team defense, which is a really talented team. I think people are seeing that. They're hearing it from me. I'm talking from my heart, from my notes. I'm sharing this with the public. This is stuff we don't ever put in the magazine. And it's not even everything. It's just really an appetizer of some of it and what we have time to say, to get all of this in. We can't take 10 minutes per kid. But we're going to continue on with strong safeties. And I think the best strong safety in the state is a guy by the name of Destin Refuge, who's 5'9", 175, 5'10". Reminds me of Tyrann Mathieu. He actually wears Tyrann's number. He's phenomenal. He's the glue of the defense. He's a 3-year starter with over 200 tackles, 2 years combined, 14 tackles for losses, 6 forced fumbles, 20-something pass breakups in the last 2 years, 4 interceptions. He had a pick 6 in the state championship game in 2019 against Warren Easton. He grew up loving LSU, Southern Miss, Tulane, Texas A&M, and Southern. And he squats a whopping 345. He only weighs 175, 180. He's a different guy. As they say, he's a dude. He can play the game. He's a showman in a good way. He's a high-energy guy. I like those guys that make plays and bring the team up. You know, they bring that energy level up. That's why he reminds me of Tyrann. He does a lot of stuff you can't coach. Is he LSU good? Yes, he's LSU good. He's LSU starting good. Another strong safety is Caden White from Archbishop Rommel. He's having a great senior year. He's brand new. First year to start. 5'11", 168 pounds. Plays the run, plays the pass, would be a great strong safety for a lot of D1 schools. A lot of people aren't on him yet because I don't think they've seen film on him yet, a lot of schools. Another strong safety, another DB at St. Aug, the Purple Knights, is Edward Gills III. 5'11", 190, academically qualified, tough hitter, runs a 4.5 40, plays the pass, a leader, high energy, phenomenal senior season. He's committed to McNeese State, by the way. Another strong safety from New Orleans, from the West Bank, is Kyothon Jackson from Higgins, 5'11", 180. Been seeing this kid play for 3 years. He's got as much talent as anybody in high school football. It's just he's on a team that's not in the spotlight. Let's just be honest. And I think Coach will enjoy that I'm promoting him. Everybody should be promoted to their talent, not on who the best teams are. Recruiting is about the best players. Don't you think, listeners? He's a starter at free safety for Higgins, but he's one of the best hitters in the state. He's a heat-seeking missile when he comes up to hit you. He's got Sage Ryan type of ability, but nobody's talking about it but me. Another safety, strong safety from White Castle, be a 4-year starter this year, actually a 5-year starter since his 8th grade season, is Keith Landry Jr. 6'1", 190, plays receiver, DB, linebacker, tight end, does everything for his team. And what I like about Keith is he's strong and he brings it. And he's gifted. Most kids gifted, they don't always bring it. But I think he's a strong safety in college. He's a big-time player. He's SEC. But again, you're hearing it on this show. Let me hear it in 4 years, and I'll tell you, he'll be a big-time player. Even if he ends up at a 1AA school, he'll be a pro guy. Another big-time safety. I have him on this list because I just love his game. At Church Point, Ethan Castile. Ethan is 5'11", about 175, 180, and he brings it. Like I was saying earlier, he is just a phenomenal hitter. I love seeing this kid play. He's old school, man. Every time you run his way or throw the ball his way, you better duck. You better be careful because he is going to finish the play. He probably runs about a 4.65 40. He's a 3-year starter. He's another reason why Church Point is 2 wins away from a state championship game. Another safety I like a lot that's had a great senior year, come out of nowhere, is Wardell Forsell from Donaldsonville, who's about 5'10", 190. He's on this list because he caught my eye this year, and he has just had a great year for them, and he's a great player, plays the run, plays the pass. He has an offer from Arkansas Baptist. Another player I like a lot from Lusher Charter in New Orleans, who's phenomenal, by the way, is the kid by the name of Jonathan Gilliard. Jonathan has a lot of talent. Jonathan is as good as any safety I've seen, and he's playing at Lusher Charter in New Orleans. Just remember the name. I think he's SEC good. He just, again, don't get caught up in just who you see ranked on these sites. I'm not knocking the sites. I'm just saying not everybody's on there. You got to watch all the games. You got to watch all the teams. And then you got to put together the list, not just who did good in the camps in the summer. Camps don't make you a recruit. It's what you do on the field in helmets and in your uniform, not in shorts and helmet. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about football players. That's what they're recruiting, football players. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about punters, our final position. And there's a lot of great punters in South Louisiana. This is a good year for punters and kickers in the state of Louisiana. There's a lot of them. We'll come right back. We'll start with Lafayette Christian. We got a great punter to talk about for them and some other ones in South Louisiana. We'll be right back. So, hey, guys, just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Harvey Autos. If you need a new or used car, there's 3 great dealerships right here worth checking out. John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Low prices, honest people. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I am your host, Lee Burkeen. Today's topic is the second team, All-Louisiana Team South defense. And our final position in this segment is going to be punters. It's a position that most people don't even watch at a game. I guess people go get popcorn when the punter punts, right? You tell your wife, whatever, if it's not your son, you're like, oh, I'm going to go get popcorn, they're punting, or they're kicking, or, it's halftime. I watch everything. And I think a lot of college recruiters, especially if they don't need a punter or a kicker, they don't really watch all that unless they need one. And, a lot of them won't admit it, but they're really not watching that as much. I do. I think it's important. You need a great punter and kicker and long snapper. You got to have those 3 to have great special teams. Coaches always say you win games on special teams, right? Offense and defense. But it's the most least looked at position from a lot of college. I love watching these punters. You look at hang time. You look at the cannon leg they have or they don't have. Some have better hang time. You look at their height, not as much as a regular position player. You don't have to be a certain height. It helps to be tall because you got a longer leg, right? But some kids that are not super tall have phenomenal legs. I punted in high school. I was at a 5A school. One thing that I was proud of is I used to punt as a kid in my backyard at the age of 8 to learn how to do the spiral and worked on hang time. And I remember our backyard growing up, we had trees that were about 12 to 13 foot tall in height, and my job was to punt it over those trees to get an idea of hang time, and I used to do that as a kid. And you could tell these punters that work on it. And we're going to start with a great punter. I think he's a starter for D1. I think he'll be a 4-year starter from Lafayette Christian Academy in Lafayette Christian Academy in Lafayette, Louisiana. A kid by the name of Joshua Membrioni. Joshua is about 5'11", 6 feet, about 175, 180. He's got a cannon leg, and he's got hang time. He's got the whole package. He's a very smart kid. He's calm demeanor. He doesn't get rattled. He had a long of 60 yards his junior year. He had a long of 60-plus yards his senior year. He loves LSU, Texas. Well, actually, his favorite schools are Texas, TCU, and UL. He's quoted to us as saying, I'd like to go to a college that pushes me to make myself stronger and truly helps me get the knowledge I need to get into medical school and become an anesthesiologist. I'm also looking for a school that has the right balance of athletics and education. Now, here's a punter that squats 315 pounds. When he's not playing sports, he goes on mission trips and volunteers on Sundays at his church, or Wednesday nights for his church youth program, fishes on the weekends, and likes to hang out with family and friends. I admire you for that, Joshua. Keep doing that. But I've seen this kid punt, And two things he has that I don't see in a lot of punters. He's got great hang time every time he punts. So he takes out people returning it. And he has distance. He's got a cannon, and he's consistent. I think he's one of the best punters in the state, if not the best punter. Another punter from Central Catholic High School in Morgan City. He's also a defensive end for his team. And he's a tough kid. He's got a great leg. And he's still not even there yet to even know how to punt completely, and he's got a cannon. It's Trent Hillian from Central Catholic. He's 6'3", 220. He's been a tight end for his team and a DN for 4 years. He runs about a 4.89, 4.9 40. He had a long of 54 yards in 19. He had about the same this year. He's got good hang time. His favorite player growing up is Saquon Barkley from Penn State, who's now with the New York Giants, who's sitting out. He's hurt this year. He grew up liking LSU, Alabama, and Mississippi State. He intends to major in physical therapy in college. He squats 375. He can deadlift 500 pounds. When he's not playing football, Hillian loves baseball and football, but his hobbies are hunting, fishing, and other outdoor sports. I think Trent could be a 1AA punter. I really do. But he's also a baseball player. That's not what we were quoting him from, but he's also a heck of a baseball player. Another punter from Lake Charles, Louisiana, from St. Louis High School, that's been through a lot this year with the hurricane. But they came back and played. They made the playoffs. I'm happy for those kids. Is a kid by the name of Jack Watson, 6 foot 170 from St. Louis High School in Lafayette. Jack had 22 punts for 814 yards in 2019. He averaged 38 yards, but he had a great hang time. He had a 61-yard punt in 2019. As a kicker, he was 46 out of 49 in extra points and 6 out of 8 in field goals. And he made a 40-yard field goal. And he's got a good leg. I mean, he would be a great player that I think could walk on to McNeese State locally and challenge for the job in a year or two. Another great punter, I think he's a D1 punter, is Justin Baham from St. Paul's High School in Covington. He's got some of the best hang time I've seen of any punter in the state the last 2 years. I've watched him punt a few games. And by the way, he runs a 4.6 40. He's played some receiver for the program, but when he punts the ball, it's always in the air, it seems like, for a day. You know, you could eat a sandwich before the ball comes down. Another punter that I watched this year and last year from Bruley High School with a cannon leg and great hang time. It's going to be the final. We got one more player to talk about after this, but his name is Jarrett Tisdale. Jarrett's a punter that I think could walk on to LSU, give it a good old try, and he's got the leg and the hang time to maybe start one day. They did sign the punter, or going to sign the punter at West Monroe, Peyton Todd, but it's always good to have two good punters. But if I was Jarrett Tisdale, I would think about going to LSU as a walk-on at the highest level. You have a great leg, and you're not but about 8 minutes from the campus, if that. Another punter that caught my eye this year watching football, he's also a kicker, is from DeQuincy High School, a big, tall kid by the name of Haley Cooley. About 6'1", 6'2", about 170, 175, has a heck of a hang time coming off his leg. I think Hadley Cooley could be a great punter, and I think he's got some D1 ability. He's not polished, but he's got the leg. Man, he's good. He would be a great punter, kicker for McNeese locally in Lake Charles, or for a lot of colleges, because sometimes there's more of a need that's not in your own city. And I'd like to tell that to parents in recruiting, because you might be great at what you do, but that college that you live nearby might not need your position. Or maybe they have those positions filled already, or maybe the kids are coming back, they need other positions filled. Don't ever take it personal. It's just the need of the team. It's unfortunate sometimes because there's so many scholarships they can give out. But I hope you enjoyed the show today. We went an hour and 32 minutes, but I think it's an hour and 32 minutes of phenomenal information for kids. It's kind of an appetizer for them meaning we can't do all 20 minutes of the profile that I have on my private notes that I give to colleges, but we did share 2 minutes or a minute or a little bit under a minute on a lot of kids to make this show possible. Please tell more people to listen to our podcast wherever you are, whether it's Shreveport, Monroe, Bossier, West Monroe, Lake Charles, Houma, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, South Lafourche, Baton Rouge, or Lafayette. Tell other people. We enjoy promoting these kids. Tomorrow's show, I'm going to have a guest, speaking of punters, we're going to have a punter, former punter from USL will be our guest. And we're going to talk LSU football. We're going to talk USL and ULL. We're going to talk about some old days stories with Jake Delhomme and Brandon Stokely. Our guest was a teammate of theirs at USL, which is now ULL. And we're going to talk about the other colleges in the state. Thursday, we're going to talk about our third team, All-Louisiana South offense, our third team. And then we'll do our third team, All-Louisiana South defense the following Tuesday. And Friday, we got the head football coach from Catholic of New Iberia, Scott Watney, who played at Holy Cross and was in our magazine back in the day, Louisiana Football Magazine. Be sure to go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com, to still order your preview issue. We have a hardback copy you can order or a digital copy. Again, I hope everybody has a great Wednesday. Excuse me, I'm speaking ahead, man. I'm doing so many shows, I'm losing my mind today. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you Wednesday. Talk to you soon.